Hosea Chapter 8. A trumpet to your lips. Like an eagle he comes against the house of Jehovah, because they have trespassed my covenant and have transgressed against my law. They will cry unto me, My God, we know you, we Israel. Israel has cast off what is good, the enemy will pursue him. They have set up kings, but not by me, they have set up princes, but I did not acknowledge it. With their silver and their gold they made idols for themselves, that they might be cut off. Your calf has cast you off, O Samaria, my anger burns against them. How long will they be incapable of innocence? For from Israel is this. A workman made it, thus it is no God. The calf of Samaria will be shattered to pieces. For they have sown wind, and they will reap a whirlwind. It has no stalk, should there be a sprout, it will not produce flour, if it should produce, strangers will swallow it up. Israel has been swallowed up, now they have become among the nations like a vessel in which no one takes pleasure. For they have gone up to Assyria like a wild ass gone alone by itself, Ephraim has hired lovers. Indeed though they have hired such among the nations, I will now gather them, and they will begin to be diminished because of the burden of the king of the princes. Because Ephraim has multiplied altars for sin, altars will be to him for sin. I wrote for him the 10,000 things of my law, but they are considered as a strange thing. As for the sacrifices of my offerings, they sacrifice flesh and eat it, but Jehovah has no delight in them. Now he will remember their iniquity, and he will punish their sins, they will return to Egypt. For Israel has forgotten his Maker and has built palaces, and Judah has multiplied fortified cities, but I will send fire into his cities, and it will devour its palaces. Hosea Chapter 9. Do not rejoice, O Israel, to exult like the nations. For you have gone as a harlot away from your God, you have loved payment upon every grain floor. The threshing floor and the winepress will not feed them, and the new wine will fail her. They will not dwell in the land of Jehovah, but Ephraim will return to Egypt, and in Assyria they will eat what is unclean. They will not pour out offerings of wine to Jehovah, neither will their sacrifices be pleasing to him, they will be to them as the bread of mourning, all who eat them will be unclean, for their bread will be for themselves, it will not come into the house of Jehovah. What will you do in the day of assembly and in the day of the feast of Jehovah? For they will go because of destruction, Egypt will gather them, moth will bury them. As for their desirable things of silver, nettles will dispossess them, thistles will be in their tents. The days of the visitation have come, the days of the recompense have come, Israel will know it. The prophet is a fool, the inspired man is mad, because of the greatness of your iniquity and because of the greatness of the enmity. Ephraim was a watchman with my God. As for the prophet, a fowler's trap is in all his ways, enmity is in the house of his God. They have deeply corrupted themselves as in the days of Gibeah, he will remember their iniquity, he will punish their sins. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness, I saw your fathers as the first ripe fruit on the fig tree at its beginning. They went to Baal-peor and sanctified themselves unto the shameful thing, and they became detestable, like the thing that they loved. As for Ephraim, their glory will fly away like a bird, no birth, no pregnancy, and no conception. For even if they bring up their children, I will bereave them, so that not a man is left. Indeed woe also to them when I turn away from them. Ephraim, as I have seen him, is planted like Tyre in a meadow, but Ephraim will bring forth his children to the slayer. Give them, O Jehovah, what will you give them? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breasts. All their evil is in Gilgal, for there I hated them. Because of the evil of their doings I will drive them from my house, I will love them no more, all their princes are rebels. Ephraim is stricken, their root is dried up, they will not bear fruit. Indeed though they bring forth, I will kill the beloved fruit of their womb. My God has rejected them, for they did not listen to him. And they will be wanderers among the nations. Hosea Chapter 10. Israel is a luxuriant vine, he brings forth fruit for himself. According to the abundance of his fruit he has multiplied altars, according to the goodness of their land they have made pillars well. Their heart is divided, now they will be found guilty. He himself will break down their altars, he will destroy their pillars. For now they will say, we have no king, for we did not fear Jehovah, and the king, what can he do for us? They speak mere words, swearing falsely while making a covenant, and judgment sprouts forth like poisonous weeds in the furrows of the field. The inhabitants of Samaria will fear for the calves of Bethaven, for its people will mourn over it, and its idol priests will tremble for its glory, because it has departed from it. Indeed it will be carried to Assyria, a present to King Jareb. Ephraim will be taken in shame, and Israel will be ashamed of his own counsel. Samaria will be cut off with her king and will be like twigs on the surface of the water. And the high places of Avon, the sin of Israel, will be destroyed. The thorn and the thistle will come up upon their altars, and they will say to the mountains, cover us. And to the hills, fall on us. Since the days of Gibeah you have sinned, O Israel, there they have stood. Did not the battle overtake them in Gibeah because of the children of iniquity? When I so desire, I will chastise them, and the peoples will be gathered against them, when they are bound for their double iniquity. And Ephraim is a trained heifer that loves to tread the grain, but I have passed the yoke over her fair neck. I will make Ephraim draw the plow, Judah will plow, Jacob will break his clods. Sow unto righteousness for yourselves, reap according to loving kindness, break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek Jehovah until he comes and rains righteousness on you. You have plowed wickedness, you have reaped injustice, you have eaten the fruit of lying. For you have trusted in your way, in the multitude of your mighty men. And a tumult will arise among your peoples, and all your fortresses will be devastated, as Shalman devastated Beth Arbel in the day of battle, the mother was dashed in pieces with the children. Thus Bethel will cause this to happen to you because of your great evil. At dawn the king of Israel will be utterly cut off. Hosea Chapter 11. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. As they called them, so they went from them, to the Baals they sacrificed, and to the idols they burned incense. And it was I who taught Ephraim to walk, he took them in his arms, but they did not know that I healed them. I drew them with cords of a man, with bands of love, and I was to them like those who lift off the yoke on their jaws, and I gently caused them to eat. They will not return to the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian will be their king, for they refuse to return to me. And the sword will whirl about in their cities and will consume their bars, and it will devour them because of their own counsels. Indeed my people are bent upon turning away from me, though they call them to him who is on high, none at all exalts him. How shall I give you up, O Ephraim? How shall I deliver you up, O Israel? How can I make you like Admah? How can I treat you like Zeboim? My heart is turned within me, all my compassions have warmed. I will not execute the fierceness of my anger, I will not return to destroy Ephraim, for I am God and not man, the Holy One in the midst of you, and I will not come in wrath. They will walk after Jehovah, he will roar like a lion. For he will roar, and the children will come trembling from the west. They will come trembling like a bird from Egypt and like a dove from the land of Assyria. And I will cause them to dwell in their houses, declares Jehovah. Ephraim encompasses me with lies, and the house of Israel, with deceit, and Judah is yet unsteadfast with God and with the Holy One, the faithful one. Hosea Chapter 12. Ephraim feeds on wind and follows the east wind continually, he multiplies lies and violence. They make a covenant with Assyria, and oil is carried into Egypt. Jehovah has also a controversy with Judah and will punish Jacob according to his ways, according to his doings he will recompense him. In the womb he grasped his brother by the heel, and in his full strength he contended with God. Indeed he contended with the angel and prevailed, he wept and made supplication to him. At Bethel he found him, and there he spoke with us. Even Jehovah the God of hosts, Jehovah is his memorial. And you, return there to your God, keep loving kindness and justice, and wait on your God continually. He is a merchant, in his hand are balances of deceit, he loves to extort. And Ephraim said, I have surely become rich, I have found wealth for myself. In all my labors they will find with me no iniquity, which would be sin. But I have been Jehovah your God since the land of Egypt, yet again I will cause you to dwell in tents as in the days of the appointed feast. I have also spoken unto the prophets, and I have multiplied vision, and through the prophets I have used similitudes. Is Gilead iniquity? They are altogether vanity. In Gilgal they sacrifice oxen, indeed their altars are like heaps in the furrows of a field. And Jacob fled into the country of Aram, and Israel served for a wife, and for a wife he kept sheep. And by a prophet Jehovah brought Israel up from Egypt, and by a prophet he was kept. Ephraim provoked him to bitter anger, therefore his Lord will leave his bloodshed upon him and will recompense him with his own reproach. Hosea Chapter 13. When Ephraim spoke, there was trembling. He exalted himself in Israel, but he trespassed through Baal and died. And now they sin more and more and make molten images for themselves out of their silver, idols according to their own understanding, all of it the work of craftsmen. Of them they say, let the men who sacrifice kiss the calves. Therefore they will be like a morning cloud and like dew that departs early, like chaff driven by a storm wind from the threshing floor and like smoke from a window vent. But I have been Jehovah your God since the land of Egypt, and you were to know no God except me, for there is no Savior besides me. I knew you in the wilderness, in the land of great drought. According to their pasturage they became full, and their heart was exalted, therefore they have forgotten me. Thus I will be to them like a lion, like a leopard I will watch them along the way. I will meet them like a bear robbed of her cubs, and I will tear away the covering of their heart, and I will devour them there like a lioness, the beast of the field will tear them to pieces. It is your destruction, O Israel, that you are against me, against your help. Where then is your king, that he may save you in all your cities, and your judges of whom you said, give me a king and some princes? I gave you a king in my anger and took him away in my overflowing wrath. The iniquity of Ephraim is bound up, his sin is laid up in store. The pains of a woman giving birth will come upon him. He is an unwise son, for he should not delay at the time the children break forth. From the power of Sheol I will ransom them, from death I will redeem them. Where are your plagues, O death? Where is your destruction, Sheol? Repentance will be hidden from my eyes. Even if he should be fruitful among his brothers, an east wind will come, a wind of Jehovah coming up from the wilderness, and his spring will become dry, and his fountain will be dried up. He will plunder the treasure of every desirable vessel. Samaria will be guilty, for she rebelled against her God. They will fall by the sword, their children will be dashed in pieces, and their pregnant women will be ripped up. Hosea Chapter 14. Return, O Israel, to Jehovah your God, for you have fallen by your iniquity. Take words with you, and return to Jehovah, say to him, forgive all iniquity, and take us graciously, thus we will render our lips as bulls. Assyria will not save us, we will not ride upon horses. Neither will we say again to the work of our hands, our God. Because in you the orphan finds compassion. I will heal their apostasy, I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from him. I will be like the dew to Israel, he will bud like the lily and will send forth his roots like the trees of Lebanon. His shoots will go forth, and his splendor will be like that of the olive tree, and his fragrance, like that of the trees of Lebanon. Those who sit under his shade will return, they will revive like grain and will bud like the vine, his renown will be like the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim says, what have I yet to do with idols? I respond and look on him. I am like a green fir tree, from me your fruit is found. Who is wise? Then let him understand these things. Who is intelligent? Then let him know them. For the ways of Jehovah are right, and the righteous will walk in them, but the transgressors will stumble in them.